At the beginning of my most recent video about the disappearance of Harold Holt, I stated that Australia has been lucky enough to never suffer the assassination of a head of state/politician. While this is true, that doesn't mean people haven't tried. In Australia's relatively short history, there have been 2 attempted assassinations of political figures, which I will be covering in today's video. So, with that intro out of the way, let's get straight into the first assassination attempt in Australia's history, the attempt on the life of Prince Albert, a great-uncle of the late Queen Elizabeth II, by Henry O'Farrell. O'Farrell was born in Dublin, Ireland, and was the youngest child of William O'Farrell, a butcher. The family first moved to Liverpool, but later migrated to the state of Victoria. Not much, if anything, is known about his early life, but it is known that he was an alcoholic and suffered from mental health issues, being released from a lunatic asylum pretty much immediately before the assassination attempt. Prior to his admittance to the mental asylum, O'Farrell had briefly been employed by his brother, a Melbourne solicitor, who had offices in Ballarat. It seems this didn't last long, however, and his most recent occupation was selling fruit and vegetables in Ballarat's Haymarket. As previously stated, at some point he was sent to a mental asylum before being released shortly before the then 23-year-old Prince Alfred arrived in Australia. As a part of this tour of Australia, where the Prince planned on visiting Adelaide, Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, and many other places, on the 12th of March 1868, the young royal attended the Sailors' Picnic in the harbourside suburb of Clontarf, New South Wales, located just 13 kilometres northeast of the Sydney CBD. It was there that O'Farrell, aged 35 at the time, suddenly came up behind the Prince and fired a revolver into his back. The crazed Irishman was immediately tackled by William Vile, a local coachmaker who, for his actions, was later presented with the Prince's fob watch. Vile, together with other bystanders, unsurprisingly managed to quickly subdue O'Farrell following the initial shot. The assassination attempt understandably outraged the attending crowd, and O'Farrell was severely beaten to the point of nearly being killed by the mob before police arrested him and removed him to safety. The Prince, having been shot in the back, was seriously wounded and rushed to hospital where he remained for 2 weeks before being released without further complications. The assassination attempt caused great embarrassment in the colony and led to a wave of anti-Catholic and anti-Irish settlement, which was already extremely prevalent in early Australia. The day following the attack, 20,000 people attended an indignation meeting to protest yesterday's outrage. Once in police custody, O'Farrell first claimed to be under orders from the Fenian Brotherhood, an Irish Republican organisation that sought an end to British rule in Ireland. Although he was anti-British and anti-royalist, O'Farrell later denied being a member of this organisation. Regardless of his possible involvement with that group, O'Farrell was tried at Sydney on the 30th of March 1868. The lawyer with the incredibly difficult task of defending him was Butler Cole Aspinall, who had previously defended the rebel leaders of the Eureka Stockade. Aspinall sought to have O'Farrell found not guilty by reason of insanity, citing the Irishman's history of mental illness and recent release from an asylum. The court didn't care, however, and O'Farrell was convicted and sentenced to death by Judge Alfred Cheek. Prince Alfred himself actually tried to intercede and save his would-be killer's life, but to no avail, and O'Farrell was hanged on the 21st of April 1868 in the Darlinghurst jail at the age of 35. The second and last inclusion on this list is the most recent attempted assassin, the similarly mental ill Peter Kochen. Kochen was born Peter Raymond Douglas on the 4th of May 1947 in Newcastle, New South Wales. His father, an engineer, was tragically killed in a car accident 3 months before his birth. When he was 5 years old, his mother married Ludovic Kochen, and the family moved to Melbourne. This marriage did not last, however, and the young Peter and his mother decided to move on to Sydney while Peter retained his stepfather's surname. His mother later stated that his stepfather rejected him and that he had never known the affection of a father. Kochen left school at the age of 14, and according to his mother, gave up sport and spent most of his time reading. During his teenage years, he worked as a labourer and station hand out in the country before later returning to Sydney. At some point during these years, he reportedly wrote a letter to the headquarters of the Australian National Socialist Party, a small, recently formed neo-Nazi party, in which he stated that he admired Hitler because he had killed himself at the right time. According to Sidney Rowe, a psychiatrist who examined him, Kochen became fixated on death and suicide and had fantasies about imitating Lee Harvey Oswald, the famous assassin of JFK. something he would ultimately attempt on the evening of the 21st of June 1966. While campaigning for the 1966 federal election, Koken's target, Arthur Calwell, the leader of the opposition, addressed an anti-conscription rally at Mosman Town Hall in Sydney. After Calwell left the meeting, just as his car was about to drive off, Koken approached the passenger side of the vehicle, aimed a sawn-off rifle at Calwell's head, and fired at point-blank range. Luckily for the politician, the closed window deflected the bullet, which lodged harmlessly into Calwell's coat lapel. Calwell miraculously only suffered minor facial injuries from broken glass. Koken was soon arrested, tried, and found guilty of attempted murder before being sentenced to life imprisonment. When asked about his motive for the crime, Koken told police, "I had to do something to set me aside from all the other nobodies." In late December 1966, a few months after his imprisonment, Koken was transferred to Ward 21 for the criminally insane in Morisset Mental Hospital at Morisset, just south of Newcastle, where he was actually visited and forgiven by the man he tried to kill, Arthur Calwell. During his years in prison and mental hospitals, Koken immersed himself in history, literature, and poetry, even beginning to write his own poetry in 1967. He was released on license from Morisset Mental Health Hospital in 1976 and began to write novels about his experiences and even science fiction as well. Koken lived for many years at Tuggawarong on the central coast of New South Wales, where he taught and wrote one-act plays, poetry, and fiction. He acted in 20 plays and directed 4 for the Wyong Drama Group from 1981 to 2002. He gained public recognition for his works, receiving regular support from the Literary Board of the Australian Council, and has even won various literary prizes. He graduated from the University of Newcastle in 1998 with a Bachelor of Arts and obtained a master's degree. He ultimately moved to Brisbane in 2003, where he lives to this day at the current age of 75. Well, I think that's where I'm going to end this video. I'm always looking for suggestions, so if you had any, please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. But with that being said, as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day, night, wherever you are, and I hope to see you in the next one.